Hello, welcome to the Winning Agenda YouTube channel. My name's Jesse Marshall and I'm here with another Gagarin Deep Space deck tech. You may have heard us discussing this deck on episode 53 of the Winning Agenda, and this is the third game that I'm going to be playing with it to try and run through and talk you through some of the decisions that I make while playing it and show you a bit about how it works. So hopefully we'll get a runner here pretty soon. Here we go. So Lozen is all stocked up and ready to go. Let's see what we're going to be up against. Okay, so we've got Ken. So this is going to be a little bit different to the first two games. First two games we had Haley as an opponent. This hand's quite good. We've got 2 relevant ice that we can res on turn 1 and a hedge fund to allow us to pay for them. So pretty classic opening and certainly exactly what you want against a criminal. I think we'll put the Spiderweb on HQ, given that Ken is reasonably unlikely to be playing Parasite, although of course nothing's impossible, and with his extra influence more is possible. It's not something you see all that often. Parasite of course being the best way to deal with Spiderweb. Caduceus is an ice that I always like having on centrals, and I would put it on HQ but for the fact that it's a little bit worse against Siphon probably than Spiderweb. I mean, the upside is that you can put all your money into it, but assuming that you wanted to hold on to some money, it's a little bit more porous than Spiderweb is. So Dirty Laundering Archives with the Doppelganger, but the Doppelganger is not really going to do all that much here, except run into the Caduceus. So I'm going to trace him for 3. I don't want to put anything extra into that. If he wants to spend 3 on that, that's absolutely fine with me. We have a Spectator, that's always nice. So he's not increasing his trace strength, sorry, his link strength. Trace 2, I think we'll make this trace 3 as well, so we can go down to 3 and not afford any APDs if he wants to get in. Okay, I appear to have misclicked. I meant 1. Oh well. Slight error on my part. We'll continue. So, if I end up losing by 1 credit, you can all tell me that I should play a little bit more tightly in terms of how I increase my trace strengths. But this is looking okay. So we've got Tour Guide and Public Support. Unfortunately, we can't res everything this turn. We're 1 credit short. Oh, hopefully he doesn't make us pay for that mistake right away. Doesn't look like he's going to. Okay, so we're testing coming down. So we really want to see another piece of ice next turn. Preferably another piece of ice that we can res with our, unfortunately, slightly depleted credit count. NEPD is not exactly what we want at this point. Archer on R&D is going to be okay. But I think we probably want another card just to pad out our hand and also to try and find something that's going to give us a bit of money. Or a piece of ice, that's not bad. So we can chuck the Enigma on Archives and make sure that if he wants to get his credits off testing, he's going to have to break through something, or at least wait another turn. So we've got 5 credits, which is going to allow us to res the Enigma and the Tour Guide, so hopefully he doesn't target HQ this turn. He's targeting Server 0, the Public Support, with his testing. I think that's fine because we are pretty happy to res the Tour Guide at this point. I mean, obviously he can inside job it and then that server is not really doing a lot, but if he wants to inside job a Public Support, I don't think that's too bad for us. And he would have to wait till next term and it's not tested. So tour guide putting in a little bit of work again there. So Katie Jones is going up to... No, he's gaining a 6 off Katie and he's running R&D, okay. The Maker's Eye, so we'll trace 3 to gain 3. Not sure this is great value for him. He's going to pay 5 to get in without allowing me to gain 3. Yeah, you would assume that he's going to do that if he's happy to run into a Caduceus without a breaker. Would have been nice to have an extra 2 credits here, but look, I think we'll let him in for 2 more. Could have spent 1 to get him down below an EPD range, but I do think that the credits for us at this point are going to be a little bit more important, given that we're a bit pressed for economy, at least until we can dig up some pad campaigns or capital investors. So he's on the right number to steal an EPD, but with 2 of them in our hand, the chances of 1 being on top are reasonably low. That being said, watch him pluck an EPD. 3 cards, what's he got? So remember, all the agendas in this deck are 2-pointers for the runner, because the Global Food Initiatives are the only 3-pointers for us, and they are worth only 2 points to the runner. So he's going to have to steal 4 in order to win. He's going on archives. Not really sure why he's doing this. Is it mandatory? No, it's a May. Don't know. Really wants to see that a hedge fund. Alright. So our turn is starting and we're going down to 1 on the public support. So Archer, I think realistically the best place for it is HQ, given that we've already got 2 agendas in there. And in general, criminals have got a lot of cards to try and attack it. Try to get rid of some of these extra archers we've got going up here. Alright, so we'll end the turn on 4 credits. Obviously we can't res Archer, but we can res the Spider Web, which means that Siphon's not such a huge threat. For this turn at least. So security testing on archives, not ideal, but that being said, we don't really mind that much resing the Enigma. I really like keeping criminals out with security testing as much as possible. So inside job on HQ, look, I think that's going to turn out okay. So we're not going to res the spider web, just have it bypass, seeing as the only negative outcome that could possibly come here is him accessing an APD contract that he can't afford. So we're assuming he's going to run archives to try and get those testing credits, which he's done, and he's losing a click for his trouble. So now hopefully this public support is going to be successfully scored, which will be nice. Okay, so that's going to get our corporate town online, of which we now have one in our hand. So we can kill Katie and testing with corporate town, or we can save the public support for an archer. It's a bit of a tough one. I think realistically crippling his economy is probably going to do more for us in the long run, so we'll just install and gain 2. Whilst that doesn't allow us to res the arse on HQ, I don't think that's going to be a huge concern at this point. If he does siphon, he's going to be taking 2 tags and only gaining 4 credits because we can res the corporate town in response. So that shouldn't be too much of an issue at all. So he's wanting to try and make us res our asset preemptively by targeting server 0 with security testing. Alright, so he's gone for the siphon here, relying on the crash space, which realistically is probably going to end up working pretty well in our favour. I don't think we lost a credit for that. Alright, just let the opponent know why we're randomly losing a credit. That is not a Resed Enigma. That's actually a face-down Archer and a face-down Spiderweb, neither of which we're going to res. So, our opponent's going to take our remaining 2 credits, which is very, very sad. But he's now got 2 tags that he's going to have to remove. Oh, a bit of a pop up there. Sorry about that. And he's ending his turn with no tags, but also with not a lot of money. So we kill the Katie or the testing. It's a bit of a tough one. I think we want to kill Katie more urgently, given that testing's not really doing all that much. He can test HQ this turn. We really don't want to get the corporate town trashed. The question is Katie or testing going to allow him to get closer to doing that next turn? I think we want to kill the testing, because killing Katie actually is more of a dead click, I think, than using the testing. So we've got the pad and a new remote, and then we'll gain 2, which will allow us to res the pad in the case we get another siphon coming in, which is unlikely but always possible. The other advantage is that we've now got an extra subroutine. Apparently our spectator and our opponent know each other, which is always nice. Bit of friendliness in the Netrunner community. Legwork. Alright, so this is going to be a score for our opponent. He's going to get 1 in APD, but not 2. That being said, it's never great when your opponent knows that you have agendas in hand, so even if he accesses in an APD and can't steal it, the second one, him knowing that we have it is not great. Okay, so we didn't access it, which is good. And he's doppelgangering in there. He's going to have to pay 1 to access. I wonder if he does want to access. Let's see. So having Gagarin's ability is really quite good against this doppelganger strategy. And he's not going to be getting in. Rough game so far. Oh, well, I suppose that's a compliment. We should enjoy that. So we'll trash the Katie this time. And now we're at the point where we can really look to start pressing things home. So we can capital investors, really start taxing him out, and also threatening that scorched kill and developing our own economy. So this was a tough start. It's always a tough start against a criminal, but it's so important. We could have spent less resources icing up archives and keeping his economy down, but if we had have, then we would have really struggled to sustain this corporate town and get rid of his resources like we've done. And in the long term, that's what really is going to help us out. We don't need to res the capital investors yet. What do we have there? He's got drawing and gaining a credit. So, given how scarce credits are for him and how important it is for us to get another point in order to turn on the archers, I think we'll get this public support out there this turn. He's going to have to go after those capital investors, or our economy is just going to run away. That's going to cost him 3 to do so. Could have played the archer in front of the capital investors. Maybe it's important enough to do that, but he's actually, looks like he's going for an R&D attack here, so it's not too bad. Alright. So he's gaining a credit from Ken and possibly going to be trashing public support. Let's see. Oh no, he can't afford to because he hasn't got his money from Dirty Laundry yet. But he can doppelganger back in if he wants to. And spend all of those 5. Let's see. He's going with the capital investors. So fair enough. Fair play. It was really a must trash at that point, or our economy was going to run away so much faster than his. So we can get the public support happening and hopefully find a cheapish piece of ice. So his board's looking a little bit sad at the moment. He's got the Mimic in hand, so Caduceus is not necessarily the best play, but considering that we really want to keep the public support alive in the short term, at least having an ice there, make him think twice and making him spend the credits to install the Mimic is going to be quite important. So Corporate Town again putting in a power of work, offer public support. Really keeping the runner's economic options low. He's spending a lot of time clicking for credits. Admittedly, I did spend 2 clicks clicking for credits last turn, but I think we're in a reasonable position now. So going down to 1 counter there on the public support. So now we can really just try and turn the screws with this Oaktown renovation. So we can, hopefully, if this public support sticks, we can, my opponent's feeling a bit poor. Oh, it's a little bit sad. Sorry, Lozen. But he's right, crime doesn't pay. We'll find you. Find out where you live. Sort you out. Although we haven't done that yet, have we? No, we've just been going about our business quietly. So we've got nothing from the archer. So I've got 2 clicks left. He's going to have to get past this Caduceus, which is going to be a little bit difficult. Given that he's going to need 5 credits to trash the public support. So I think he's going to let me gain 3, which is good. So we're back up to 9. And if that public support sticks, I think we're in a really, really good position, because we'll at least be able to force through, I think, 4 points, assuming that nothing goes awry in HQ. Lost our spectator, it's unfortunate. So we're looking at 8 credits to res the Spiderweb and the Archer next turn, and an extra credit for advancing the Oaktown. I mean, we're fine for economy at this point. So Mimic's not going to do a lot except allow him to attack R&D. Given that 3 agendas are already out of the deck, that leaves 6 left in there. That being said, always nerve-wracking moments when your opponent is seeing cards at the top of your R&D. So we'll hope that this is not a global food initiative. And it is not. Wonderful. So if we can escape the next couple of turns unscathed in terms of those R&D accesses, things will be... Oh no. Misclick. Didn't notice that there was a resource in play. Hopefully my opponent's obliging. Oh, very nice. Thank you, sir. We'll install the Oaktown. So we'll try and score the Oaktown first here because it keeps us at the highest credit level. And also NAPD is a little harder to steal from hand, which is probably the more vulnerable server of the two. given that we want to be resing this archer rather than this one. Okay, so Data Sucker, not great. Although it's not going to come online in terms of being able to interact with Archer, with the Mimic, for another couple of turns, by which point it may well be too late. The other thing about our setup at the moment is that we can purge if it's absolutely necessary, and it will be quite click intensive for him to get those counters back. So this is quite nice. We've got, so this time there are no resources, best to double check. We've got that extra click because we went install double advance. And because there's not as much of a benefit of having the NAPD in play, I think it's going to be more important for us to really protect this R&D. So we'll chuck the Quandary there. So we're up to 14 credits. I mean, this is looking really quite difficult for our opponent to get in now. He hasn't been able to get in. He hasn't been able to find enough credits to be able to get in to trash that corporate town, and really without resources, it's going to be tough for him to get up to a reasonable level anytime soon. Okay, so we've got another public support coming on. Oh, no resources again. So server 2 is our scoring server, so we'll get the NAPD in there, not the public support, despite the flash. And then we'll get the public support going in a new remote. So that's going to put us up to 6 points if we can pull all of this off. So we've got a public support scored and an Oaktown scored. If we can score the NAPD next turn, it'll put us to 5. And then the second public support will put us to 6. We haven't got a public support in the bin. So that means there's one more in the deck that we can score out to win, or we can score out any other agenda. But the nice thing that this second public support does, putting us to 6, is it means we have one agenda point we can throw away and still win with another 2-pointer. So we can still forfeit 1 to the archer and win with a 2-pointer, or we can forfeit 2 to both archers and win with a 3-pointer. Gives us quite a bit of flexibility. So this pad campaign's just ticking away, ticking away. No resources again. So we'll score out this NAPD. Forgot to res the public support. Spent so long talking about how good it would be, we didn't res it, that's alright. I think we've probably got a turn leeway here, although we want to play as tight as possible. Alright, so what do we got in the bin for clone chip to find? Not heaps at this point. I dare say he's probably finding a few resources in his hand. He's, yeah, gonna want to get rid of that corporate town soon. Remember to res the public support this time. Good, good. No targets for corporate town. Alright, so now we just got to try and find an agenda. The winning agenda, in fact. Yeah, look, I think Jackson's probably going to help us get there, isn't he? New remote, and we'll try and get 2 cards off him. What's he got for us? No dice. Oh well. We'll hold on to the Quandary. Will help us protect the public support if need be. I don't think we're going to be needing that snare. Happy to have that shuffled back into R&D in any case. Although it is nice as a legwork punishment. Not sure that we're going to be seeing too many accesses on HQ anytime soon. And he's got to sort of know at this point that it's very unlikely that there's going to be any thing in HQ that he's going to be after. So he's inside jobbing archives. Not really sure what he thinks I will have pitched there. Unless he thinks that there really wants to trigger his doppelganger and try and get me to use Jackson. I'm not sure. But it's so unlikely that I would have pitched an agenda, given that's what I'm digging for. Sitting on 5 points. Okay, so he really wants to get rid of that Jackson, which I'm sort of happy to let him spend the money to do that, really. I'd rather have that public support at this point. Hey, okay, he doesn't want to trash. Just trying to make me use it. Alright. So he lost a fairy, which is pretty good for us given that that's one of the ways you could get through the archer. So no resources again. Draw 2. So the existence of fairy in the deck is something to be for us to be very wary of, considering that we're sort of relying on the archer to keep him out of that scoring remote. So now we've got the ash for the scoring remote. We can be reasonably confident that we're going to be able to keep him out. So we'll just hold on to the Oak Town. 2 scorched. I don't think we need 3. Hopefully that doesn't accidentally misclick there. So we'll get rid of the Scorched Earth. The Spider Web. Will we? What's so an Archer could do? So I think we're actually rid of the Tour guys. The only ice that he can actually break. I don't think Pad Campaign is going to be particularly relevant. Nor is if we go to Quandary. Okay. So things looking reasonably good. Should be able to score out in the next couple of turns with an Ash and the Archer. So he's got the Clone Chip for Fairy. It's going to cost him 4 to get past the Archer. And then a couple, well 1 realistically, to get past the Caduceus. So no targets for Corporate Town, but now we've got the Seesaw Scorched as well. We can really just hammer this home, install Advance, and then we'll put the extra ice on the outside to make sure that he's not getting in. And that should do it. If only Katie was alive. I'm certainly glad she's not. Otherwise this would certainly not have been as easy. Would have had to do all sorts of bluffing shenanigans, taxing him out if he had a cheeky sort of 15, 20 credits sitting there. So he's playing Inside Job. I got a notification from Steam there. Inside Job. Yeah, that's, I guess, reasonably unfortunate. So we can res the Spiderweb. You can bypass that. It's fine. And then we can res the Archer. And he's going to have to fairy that. So it's going to cost him 2 Data Sucker counters and 2 credits. It's going to go 4. And he's going to have to pay at least 1 for the Caduceus, which means that the Ash Trace is going to land. We'll give him the heads up. Seeing as he was kind enough to let us trash his same old thing with the Corporate Town. So that fairy's gonna get past the Archer. I think the Ash is still going to do it for us. Which probably wouldn't have been the case if we hadn't installed that spiderweb, because we would have had the inside job and then fairy on the second run. Probably could have dealt with the Ash that way, so this is good. So we'll just res the Ash, and then I think hopefully our opponent won't be able to deal with that. Two credits, no link. Certainly not going to be able to afford to beat that and pay the one to access the Oaktown. And there again, we can see Oaktown allowing us to score a 4 for 2 with only 2 credits, moving into the second turn with 1 advancement counter on it. So Oaktown certainly allows you to really invest in your remote servers, going down to only 1 credit and still being able to score it out on the second turn, which is great. So let's see. Hopefully no clicks left. Yep, I think it might be GG. We'll play it out for the camera. Oh, no targets for Corporate Town. And that gets us there. So thanks everyone for watching. Say thanks for the game to our opponent. Yes, thanks for watching. That was the 3rd game of the Winning Agenda's coverage of this Gagarin Midrange deck. Thanks again to all of our Patreon supporters who helped us to meet this stretch goal. And breakers leave much to be desired. Oh, it's probably a little bit unfair, but maybe fair. Yeah, good game. Anyway, thanks to all our Patreon supporters. If you're interested in supporting us on Patreon and helping us to do more of this video coverage, either of online games or of games in MeatSpace, please hop along to patreon.com and type in The Winning Agenda. Otherwise, I've been Jesse Marshall for The Winning Agenda. Thank you very much for tuning in.